I want you to go to a place in your mind for a second. Right now. I want you to feel that exact moment. The one your brain tries to forget. The air gets thin. The sounds of the unit fade into a dull roar in your ears. All you can hear is the frantic pounding of your own heart. Your skin goes ice cold, but sweat starts prickling on your neck. You just realized you fucked up. Maybe you clicked the wrong box. Maybe you drew up the wrong dose. Maybe you missed a critical lab value that came in hours ago. And in that deafening silence, a single, seductive thought whispers from the darkest corner of your mind. Maybe nobody saw it. Maybe I can fix it before anyone notices. Maybe. If I don't say anything at all, it'll all just go away. Welcome back to MAP, Medical Pathways for Success. I'm your host, Fred Nazario-Alvarado. And that voice you just heard in your head, that's the voice that ends careers. That's the voice that turns a mistake into a cover-up, a training issue into an integrity failure. Now I'm going to be brutally honest with you all. We work in a system where, according to recent studies, preventable medical errors are the third leading cause of death in this country. Think about that. As one expert put it, it's like 2 to 3 jumbo jets crashing every single day. This isn't a theoretical problem. It's a statistical guarantee that you, a dedicated, caring professional, will end up making a mistake. The question isn't if it will happen. The question is, what the hell do you do in the 5 minutes after it does? Today, we're diving deep into the third A of professionalism. Accountability and how it correlates to making mistakes. We're going to break down the art of owning your shit. How to report an error, how to face the shame, and how to turn the worst moment of your career into a stepping stone, not a tombstone. This isn't just an episode. This is a survival guide. Let's get into it. So before we break down the biology, I want to put you in the room. Go ahead and picture this. It's the end of a chaotic shift. You've seen a dozen patients. The phone hasn't stopped ringing. And you're just trying to get your charting done so you can go home. I know I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. It's a tough time. So you're documenting on a patient. Let's call him Mr. Jones, who had called earlier with a concerning symptom. You type out the note, detailing the plan to send him for an urgent scan the next morning. You sign the note, close the chart, and finally, you head for the door. And as you're walking out to your car, a flicker of a memory hits you. The patient's date of birth on the screen. It didn't look right. Crap. Your blood runs cold. You pull out your phone, log back into the system, and your hand's shaking slightly. You pull up the chart for the other Mr. Jones, the one you saw yesterday. And there it is. Your detailed note about an urgent scan. Sitting in the wrong patient's record. The world stops. The sound of traffic. The feeling of the cool night air. It all just goes silent. And then the only thing you can hear is the frantic pounding of your heart and the voice in your head. Just delete the note. Copy it into the right patient. No one will ever know. That feeling, that freeze, that temptation to cover up your tracks when the integrity of a patient's record and potentially their life is on the line. That is what we're here to talk about. That feeling I just described. The moment you realize the error. Your brain doesn't see a clinical problem. It sees a predator. Okay, I'm gonna go a little nerdy here, but hey, stick with me. So your amygdala. This is your ancient lizard brain. It hijacks a system and screams one thing. Danger! It's a survival instinct. All right, so 10,000 years ago, a mistake meant a tiger ate you. Today, your brain translates that threat into, I'm gonna lose my license, or I'm gonna get fired, or my family's gonna starve. Okay, wait, that last one applied to both. But anyway, you catastrophize. And in that panic, you become what the patient safety community calls the second victim. The patient is the first victim of the error. But you become the second, traumatized by the event and the fear of what comes next. And because you're in survival mode, you do the one thing that actually can get you fired. You lie. You hide. And you cover it up. We throw around this term, second victim, in safety lectures. But I want to stop and talk about what that actually feels like on a Tuesday morning driving home. I want to list the symptoms because I guarantee some of you are feeling them right now, and you think you're losing your mind. Number 1, the flashback loop. You're stopped at a red light, and suddenly you're back in the room. You hear the monitor alarm, and you smell the antiseptic. Your heart rate sparks to 120 beats per minute. It's invasive, and you can't turn it off. Number 2, the imposter syndrome. You look at your badge or your uniform, and you think, I fooled them. I don't belong here. I'm a fraud. You start looking at your colleagues, people you trained, and feeling like they're superior to you. Number 3, the avoidance protocol. This is dangerous. You start calling out sick. Or when you are at work, you subconsciously avoid that specific room or that one specific drug because it triggers the panic. If you are nodding your head right now, listen to me. You are not weak. You are not injured. You're just experiencing a psychological response to trauma. And just like a physical injury, if you don't rehab it, it becomes chronic. That's why the tactics we're about to discuss aren't just nice to have. They're your rehab plan. And I need you to burn this into your brain. In my entire career, from the Navy to the hospital floor, I have never fired a soldier or a staff member for an honest mistake. Ever. But I have, and I will, fire people for lying about it. A mistake is a training issue. Hiding it is an integrity issue. You can fix training, but you cannot fix a lack of integrity. So, your first job is to fight your own biology. When that cold sweat hits, you force yourself to pause. Take one deep breath and say out loud if you have to, I am not being hunted. I am a professional in a problem. In trauma, we have the golden hour to save a patient's life. But when you make a mistake, you don't have an hour. You have what I call the golden 5 minutes to save your career. Why 5 minutes? Because that is the precise window where an error transforms from a clinical problem into an integrity problem. Let's break down the timeline. So minutes 1 and 2 is the assessment. Bad news isn't wine. It doesn't get better with age. Bad news is a septic wound. Right now, in minute 1, the infection is localized. It's just a mistake. If you treat it now, we can debride the wound. You gave the wrong med? We can administer an antidote or watch the patient. Sent the wrong facts? We can destroy it before it's read. Minutes 3 and 4 are the pivot. If you hesitate, if you stare at the screen paralyzed with fear, that wound goes systemic. The longer you leave it open, the more it festers. It starts to poison your team's trust. It infects the patient's outcome, and it rots the integrity of the entire unit. By the time someone else discovers it, they're not just treating the initial injury. They're fighting a full-blown infection that you allowed to spread. Minute 5, the go, no-go point. This is the hard line. If you tell your supervisor inside this 5-minute window, you are a team solving a problem. But the second that clock ticks past 5 minutes, the second you decide to go to lunch first, or finish your charting, or wait for the right time, the window closes. You are no longer part of the solution. You are now the problem. You have crossed the line from human error to cover up. So here is the SOP, the standard operating procedure. The moment you realize the error, the clock starts. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. You do not go to the break room to hyperventilate. You just need to stop, assess, and report. Because if your boss finds out from a patient, or a lawyer, or an audit log 3 hours from now, you're done. Not because you made a mistake, but because you let the wound rot until it killed your credibility. Before you report it, take 30 seconds for what I call the autopsy. You need to assess. You need to figure it out. Was this a human error or a systemic error? A human error is on you. And I don't want to hear any excuses. Don't tell me you were tired, or you were rushed, or that you were distracted. The why doesn't matter. All that matters is the what. And what happened was your mistake. Your responsibility. Own it. Period. But a systemic error, that's different. This is what safety expert James Reason calls the Swiss cheese model. Imagine every safety protocol. Let's say pharmacy review, barcode scanning, double checks, is a slice of Swiss cheese. On most days, even if one slice has a hole, another slice behind it stops that error. But on a bad day, all those holes line up, and the error gets through to the patient. Was the drug you grabbed stored next to a look-alike, sound-alike medication? That's one hole. Did the automated dispensing cabinet let you pull a high-alert drug on override without a hard stop? That's a hole. Was the lighting in the med room shit? That's another hole. This is crucial because when you report the error, you aren't just confessing a sin. You are a safety expert helping the organization fix a trap that's waiting for the next person. You're showing them the holes in the cheese. This approach transforms you from a screw-up into a problem solver. It changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. Let's go back to our documentation error and put on our investigator hat. Let's dissect the near miss piece by piece. Hole number 1, the environment. The report says the error happens at the end of a chaotic shift. But we had to ask, why was it chaotic? It's chaotic because the unit is chronically understaffed to save on labor costs. It's chaotic because administrative pressure to increase patient throughput means you are constantly being pushed to do more with less. This isn't a feeling. It's a condition. The system itself created an environment of high risk and high cognitive load, making an error not just possible, but probable. That's the first slice of the cheese. Hold number 2. The technology. The report says the note was typed in the wrong chart because multiple, identical-looking charts were open. Again, we have to ask why. Why would a multi-million-dollar electronic health record system be designed this way? Because vendors sell us efficiency, not safety. The ability to quickly toggle between charts is marketed as a feature that saves clicks and speeds up workflow. It's designed for billing and data entry speed, not for the messy reality of a distracted human brain under pressure. The system's very design is a trap waiting to be sprung. That's the second slice of the cheese. Hole number 3, the process. The report says the provider was charting from memory. This is where a lazy investigation stops and blames the individual. But we know better. Why do we chart from memory? It's not a character flaw. It's a coping mechanism. It's a shortcut you are forced to take when the system, the same system from hole number 1, doesn't give you enough time to do the job by the book. Charting from memory is a direct, predictable result of being understaffed and overworked. And that's how the crash happens. The pressure from the system, combined with a tool designed for speed over safety, creates a predictable, risky shortcut. And there the holes align. And only pure dumb luck, let's say a colleague walking by at a right second and catches it by glimpsing at your screen, would have prevented that disaster. Now that we've done the real autopsy, you're not just a person who made a mistake. You are an expert witness to a systemic failure, and you can use that expertise. When you report this, you use the tactic I call fact stacking. You don't make excuses. You present the findings of your investigation. You walk into your manager's office and you say, I need to report a near miss that I was involved in. I documented a full patient encounter in the wrong chart and caught it just before signing. I own that I was moving too fast and charting from memory. That's on me. However, for the safety of the next patient, we need to address 3 systemic factors that contributed. 1, the EHR's design allows multiple, visually identical charts to be open at once, which increases the risk for this error. 2, this happened during the end of a shift rush when charting volume is highest and the staff are fatigued. 3, there is no system alert for this type of error. I want to help find a solution so that this trap doesn't catch the next person. See the difference? You're not deflecting blame. You acknowledged what was your fault. But you're also providing intelligence to make the battlefield safer for everyone. So you've reported it. You did the right thing. You stepped up. And your reward? Silence. Now comes the part no one prepares you for. The part that happens in the quiet moments between the report and the official meeting. Now, I'm not saying an investigation happens for all occurrences, but there may be one where it does, and I feel you should be ready for it. So let's be brutally honest about this waiting period. Because it's its own special kind of hell. It's the sleepless nights, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., replaying every single second of the mistake on the goddamn loop in your head. You dissect every choice, every shortcut, every moment of distraction, torturing yourself with what ifs. It's the constant, obsessive checking of your email. Your heart jumping into your throat every time you see a new message from your manager or from risk management. Your phone buzzes. And for a split second, you think, that's it. I'm fired. And then there's the paranoia. The part that really eats at you. You walk into the break room, and two workers start talking. Your first thought? They're talking about me. You hear a laugh down the hall. They're laughing at me. You start to feel like your mistake is a neon sign flashing over your head for everyone else to see. You feel isolated and completely alone, even when you're surrounded by people. I need you to hear me on this. This is a normal part of the process. You're not crazy. And you're not weak. You're a human being experiencing a psychological fallout of a high-stakes error. This period of waiting, of not knowing, can be more damaging than the mistake itself. This is the weight of being the second victim. That anxiety is real. But you cannot let it drive your actions when you finally get that email and have to take that walk of shame to the conference room. Your survival in that room depends on one thing. And here, you're going to hear it again, I'm sorry, but it's literally what it comes down to. Professionalism. Remember that lizard brain? Which has been torturing you for days now. It's going to be screaming at you to get defensive, to point fingers, and to justify. You have to shut it down. So here's your mission. Number 1, stay in your lane. This is probably the only time you're going to hear me talk about staying in your lane when it comes to pretty much anything. But at this point, you really do need to stay in your lane. Your brain will want to say, well, Sarah was supposed to take that call, but she was on her phone. Don't. Only speak to what you personally did and saw. Do not speculate on what others were thinking or doing. If you don't know the answer to a question, say, I don't have that information to answer that. It's a full sentence. Use it. Number 2, translate feelings into facts. Again, your brain is going to want to say, I felt rushed and overwhelmed. That's a feeling. Instead, you can say, the patient to staff ratio was 7-1, and there was 3 new admissions in 1 hour. That's a fact. Stick to the objective, verifiable data. Facts can't be argued with. And number 3, show humility, not defensiveness. Your brain will want to justify your actions. It might even try to tell you. Any reasonable person would have done the same thing under those conditions. Resist. The goal of a good investigation is to fix the system, not to assign blame. Go in with a mindset of, I'm here to help you understand how this happened so we can prevent it from happening again. Answer questions directly. Don't get emotional. And be the most professional, composed person in the room. This isn't a battle. This is a debrief. So conduct yourself accordingly. You know what? Actually, let's go one step further. I want to run a drill with you right now. So I'm going to play the aggressive investigator, the one trying to get you to admit fault or blame a coworker. And then I'm going to give you the survival answer using the fact stacking method we just talked about. So here's scenario 1, and this is the trap question. Fred, why weren't you paying attention when you grabbed the med? You know the policy is to check twice. Here's the wrong answer. I know. I'm sorry. I was just so tired because the baby kept me up and I was rushing. Stop. You just admitted negligence. You just handed them your head on a platter. This is the survival answer. I was following the standard workflow. However, the 2 vials are identical in color and shape, and they are stored right next to each other in the bin. I have identified this as a hazard. See the difference? You shifted the focus from your character to the condition. Scenario number 2, the speculation trap. Do you think Nurse Sarah was distracted because she was on her phone? The wrong answer. Yeah. Honestly, she's always on TikTok. Stop. You just started a war. You look pretty, and you look defensive. And you just threw your coworker under the bus. I mean, come on. Integrity. The survival answer. I cannot speak to Sarah's actions or mindset. I can only speak to my own timeline and observations. Definitely write that down. I cannot speak to their actions, only my own. That sentence is a shield. Practice these answers in the car before you walk into that room. Don't go in there naked. Now for the hardest part. The part that lingers after the event is over. The shame. That corrosive feeling in your gut that you're stupid, that you don't belong here, and that everyone is looking at you and judging you. I know that feeling all too well. Shame doesn't care if the mistake was in your hands or in your heart. It eats at you all the same. So here's my rule for you. And I need you to listen. It's the 24-hour rule. You have my permission to feel absolutely terrible for 24 hours. Go home, cry, punch a pillow, eat ice cream, vent to someone you trust. Just get it all out. But when that alarm goes off the next morning, that's it. It's done. You can't carry yesterday's mistakes into today's shift. You have to forgive yourself. Not because you're weak, but because your next patient deserves 100% of your focus. They don't deserve 50% of your focus and 50% of your guilt. And what about your team? The people in the trenches with you? The ones who had to clean up your mess, who had to deal with the fallout while you were spiraling. And this is where many people get it wrong. They turn the apology into a therapy session. And they wallow. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I did that. Are you mad at me? Just stop. The moment you do that, you make your mistake their burden. You force them to stop their work, to put down a chart, to pause caring for a patient, and start managing your emotions. You are asking for absolution when what you owe them is action. Your apology to your team needs to be 3 things: brief, sincere, and focused on them. Just look them in the eye and say, hey, I know my screw up on that lab draw made your last hour hell. That's on me. And I'm sorry. That's it. Period. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. You acknowledge the impact your mistake had on their work. You own it completely. And then you let them get back to their job. Then you shut your mouth and you get back to work. You prove with your actions by being reliable, by being focused, by being the person they can count on when the next crisis hits, that it won't happen again. Your work is your apology. Let that be the only thing that speaks for you. Now, after you make a big mistake, there's a brand on you. You feel it, even if no one else says it out loud. You're the one who missed the IV, or the one who gave the wrong med. That brand can feel like a tombstone, a permanent marker of your failure that you will carry for the rest of your career. You have a choice in that moment. You can either let that brand define you, or you can burn it off and forge something new in its place. And sometimes, that brand isn't about a task you messed up, but a moment where you failed your own values. The biggest mistake of my career was staying silent while a patient was stripped of her dignity. That shame didn't break me, but it weighed on me heavily. For a long time, it made me question if I still had the integrity I prided myself on. But eventually, I decided that silence would not be my legacy. I took that failure, that shame, and I used it as fuel. It's not the only reason this podcast exists, but it's a massive part of the foundation. It's one of the main reasons I'm talking to you right now about integrity and courage. I took a moment where I felt weak, and I used it to build a platform where we can all be strong. That shame, that failure, it's not a tombstone meant to mark the end of your career. It's fuel. And you have a choice. You can let it burn down into ash and regret, or you can use it to light a fire that burns away your ego, a fire that forges your character, a fire that hones your expertise into something sharp, strong, and unbreakable. This isn't some motivational bullshit. This is a strategy I've lived. I told you back in episode 3 that I was the guy who avoided doing IVs and anesthesia until my HM2 called me out on my bullshit. So I let that fire of embarrassment drive me to becoming the undisputed expert on hard sticks. I watched every video. I asked for tips. I practiced until my hands were steady and my eyes were sharp. And eventually, to the point where I was doing IVs on myself. Just because when HM2 put the IV into his arm, it made me say, I want to do that. Anyway. But I became the person colleagues called when they were about to give up. Did you miss a critical piece of information during a rush patient handoff? Then use that fire to champion a new, clearer, safer handoff process for your entire unit. You go to your manager. You present a solution. You make the system better because you know the pain of its failure firsthand. You don't just recover from the mistake. You make yourself essential because of it. You take your point of greatest shame and you turn it into your area of greatest strength. You let your scar become your expertise. That's how you redeem yourself. Not by forgetting the mistake, but by making damn sure it meant something. Now, we've talked a lot about what to do after the crash. But before we get to the map moment, I want to give you one offensive tactic to stop the holes in the Swiss cheese from lining up in the first place. You need to adopt the sterile cockpit rule. So in aviation, if you don't know, below 10,000 feet, pilots are strictly forbidden from talking about anything except flying the plane. No jokes, no weather chat, no complaining about the schedule. Why? Because that is the zone where crashes happen. So you need to set your own 10,000-foot hard deck. When you're handling medications, whether you're calculating a drip rate or verifying vaccine doses, that's a sterile cockpit. When you're managing specimens, labeling a tube, or verifying a biopsy, sterile cockpit. When you're doing critical admission, entering a patient's date of birth, or verifying their insurance ID numbers, sterile cockpit. If your favorite coworker comes up to you to ask about your weekend while you're drawing up insulin, you put your hand up, palm out, and say, 1 second, sterile cockpit. It might feel rude the first time you do it, but do it anyway. You protect your attention like it's currency. Because in that moment, your focus is the only thing keeping those holes from lining up. Be the pilot. Protect the plane. Now, it's time for your map moment.
It's time for your map moment. A quick little push to keep you going. Stay focused, keep strong. Your pathway to success is on.
All right. This week's map moment is about arming you with the ownership script. This isn't just an apology. This is your tool for taking immediate control of a chaotic situation. It's how you demonstrate leadership when you feel like you're most powerless. It's how you start to rebuild trust in yourself and with your team right now. I want you to write this down. If you're driving, look at the timestamp, remember it, and then come back to this later. Put it on your phone, memorize it. This is what you say when you walk into your supervisor's office. You don't cry. You don't make excuses. You just lead. Here's the script. I have a problem I need to bring to you. I made a mistake on patient's name or task. Here's what happened. One sentence, just the facts. Here's what I've done already to mitigate it. Your immediate actions. And here is my plan to prevent it from happening again. And whatever that plan is. So let's run it for real. I have a problem. I made a mistake on Mrs. Jones's chart and entered the wrong vitals. I've already gone back, rechecked her, and updated the chart with the correct numbers. I was rushing, and I'm going to slow down with my entry process from now on. That's it. Quick and simple. If an employee said that to me, I would trust them with my life. Because I know that when they mess up, they will run towards the problem, not away from it. And in this field, that's worth more than perfection ever will be. You are going to mess up. It's okay. It's not the fall that kills your career. It's the lie that follows. Own it, fix it, learn from it. Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. And I need you to really sit with this. We spend our entire education, our entire training, absolutely terrified of making a mistake. We build our professional identity on being the person who gets it right, the one who is perfect, the one who doesn't fail. But what if I told you that your first big mistake isn't the end of your career? What if it's the beginning? Because in that moment, when the floor drops out from under you, and the only thing you can hear is your own panicked heartbeat, you are standing at a crossroads. This is the single most important moment of your professional life. Down one path is silence. It's the easy path, paved with excuses, justifications, and the hope that nobody finds out. That path leads to a career spent looking over your shoulder, carrying the weight of a secret that will slowly and surely poison your integrity from the inside out. Then there's the other path. It's the harder path. It's paved with humility, raw courage, and a conversation you are absolutely dreading. But that path leads to trust. It leads to respect. It leads to you becoming the kind of professional that your colleagues will follow into any crisis, and the kind of healer your patients truly deserve. Because here's a secret that lawyers and administrators don't always tell you. Patients don't sue because you're human and you made a mistake. They sue because you treated them like they were stupid. They sue because you hid the truth. They sue because you made them feel invisible after you caused them harm. Your willingness to look another human being in the eye and say, "I messed up, and I'm so sorry," is more powerful than any legal defense. It's the heart of healing. The mistake is in the past. It's over. The only thing that matters now is the choice you make in the next 5 minutes. That choice defines everything. It's the moment you decide if you're going to be someone who just wears the scrubs, or if you're someone who has earned the right to wear them. So when it happens, and it will happen, don't ask yourself, "How do I hide this?" Ask yourself this one simple question: who am I about to become? Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep following your map, your medical pathway for success.